One of the most important lessons that we had related to our coverage of Ferguson is that it did not start with us. Normally, in a newsroom, you have your police scanners, you have your city desk editors, you have your photographers and your photo editors who are monitoring the police scanners. This happened on a Saturday where the photographers had assignments and the city desks was on a skeletal crew. So when Michael Brown was shot and the call came over for an officer-involved shooting, we did not respond right away. But the people who lived there did. And then the police, cordoned off the area and left his body there for 4.5 hours. So what happened in the 4.5 hours? Well, they covered him up after about 12 minutes or so. And then people gathered and tweeted, took his picture and tweeted, got angrier and angrier. One of the men here, his name is Torrey Russell, who's one of the leaders in the protest movement, direct messaged one of our photographers who he knew through, as a follower through Twitter. And he said, the Post-Dispatch needs to be here to see this. We had already a photographer and a reporter on the way, but that message sent a message, and we got more people there. It's worthy to note that this is not our picture. As a newspaper covering breaking news, we were not there till 4.5 hours afterwards. So we missed it. We missed the body, but we got everything else. So this is Michael Brown's mother on that day at the site of where he was killed. This is her dropping rose petals on the site in the bloodstains of where he was killed. I've put together a portfolio or a set of pictures that go from the beginning through to kind of where we are now. I won't comment on everything, but it'll give you a good sense of what we did, and it has some different aspects to it. The Hands Up, Don't Shoot started that night, the August 9th. It was a peaceful night. It was cantankerous, but it was not violent. Police did bring out dogs, which also generated a lot of attention via social media, harkened back to the days of the 60s. And then August 10th, things got a little different for us. It's worthy to note that our photographers were protected as best we could. Later on, we implemented different ways for them to cover the scene so they would get their pictures back faster. This is a picture from David Carson, the man I just showed you. So August 10th, that's Sunday, looting started occurring, and he did what no editor should suggest your photographer or reporter to do, is actually go inside the store while it's being looted. You can see his gun there. So David was there in the outfit that you just saw, and the guy turned around and goes, "What are you doing?" David was like, "I'm from the Post-Dispatch. It's okay, just don't show your face." And the guy said, "Okay." So we got lucky. It was also about, right after this, David sent me a text. It says, "I'm okay." So that's good, but you knew something bad really happened for him to say, "I'm okay." And then right after that, our assistant managing editor said, "Please don't let anybody do anything stupid." And that's why I said, "No, it's too late." So later that night, that same Quick Trip was burned, and then we immediately were sending everything we got out as fast as we could. The photographers were wearing laptops on their back, and so in order to send me pictures, they had to stop what they're doing, find a corner, hide, get the camera connected to the laptop, download, tone the pictures, caption the pictures, and then send them out. It was a lot of work to do in a dangerous situation where there's gunfire. This is also the night where we had one reporter and one photographer beaten. This is how it looked in the next day's newspaper when we came out. We always sent out things first via Twitter, via our own website, and via AP, McClatchy Tribune. It was just getting everything out to everybody as fast as we could. So this is what the newspaper looked during the day. During the day, there's a huge crowd of people at Canfield Apartments, and then that night, things shifted. And this elicited quite a discussion on when to change that, because our editor did not want to let the looters, rioters take over from the peaceful rally, but they did. Our newspapers look like this for weeks, where you devote half of your front page or most of your front page to the coverage. I've included this picture because it was a point of contention that the protesters were peaceful, but yet later on in the evening, things changed. The peaceful protesters tended to go home and other people tended to come out. Throwing Molotov cocktails at the cops did happen, and then people said, that never happened. Then we tweeted out the photo, said, here it is, we saw it. This one didn't work, but they tried. And then, but it wasn't enough, and people said, well, you're lying. So it was a lesson in kind of the persistence of beliefs, that you can show what you have, but people are still going to believe what they want. And then we have this picture. This is our most famous picture, the most widely known, I suppose. So we took that at about 12:25 a.m., and we were not able to get it back to our newspaper in time for our daily deadline, but I got it up on Twitter and our social media, on our website, about 12:49, so 25 minutes. And then by the next morning, that the pings had started and gone through all night long, and then people took the image for their own. And people made T-shirts and cell phone cases and artwork. And within days, there's 10,000 retweets. And the protesters, to speak in general terms, took the image and they dubbed it the Patriot. Here was a man who took burning tear gas and threw it back at the cops, or at least away from himself. And then it started to appear on buildings in Boston and New Orleans and more places. Oops. It's going the wrong way. Shoot. It's stuck. All right, now we're getting there. No, it's not. But so then you can see where it went. It was amazing how people just, it had a personal connection to people, and they just took it. They tattooed it on themselves. They said, I want my sons to grow up to be like this man. It was, it's unheard of. And then as our coverage continued, we embedded with the police, and we had the photographer put a GoPro on his helmet, and we have a video of this if you want to go to our site, but we have him, this is what it looks like when you fire tear gas. This is how it appeared in our newspaper. We made the deadline for that. When Captain Ron Johnson from the Missouri Highway Patrol came in to take over local police, people cheered. There was an African-American law enforcement officer on the job, and this is the reaction. So, a few days before the funeral for Michael Brown. That's his father. This is outside of a Rams game, St. Louis Rams football team. So far, St. Louis. And so one of the protesters, Gina, had gone to carrying a flag upside down. And so this guy, after the game, decided that he wanted it. This is from the night of the grand jury, no indictment decision. Throughout the whole time, we shot video, photos, in the paper, on social media. We had a video of different children reading what they've written about Ferguson, and then we put that in the paper from that. This is what our city council meetings look like nowadays. They're not all like that, but more there, it's back and forths, you know, not violent. There's, but it's emotional. This is going back. We're going into now. What we're covering is the municipal courts and how they have had a system that you know that people feel preyed upon by that system. This is voter registration during spring break. And then most recently, this is the night that 2 cops were shot, and we had a photographer and reporter just a few feet away from them when that happened. You know, we've, since the beginning, through those first few months, we had staffed Ferguson about 6:30 in the morning to about 3 o'clock in the morning with 8 photographers. And they were equipped with what you saw, equipment and cell phones, and we produced, you know, iPhone videos, things that were quick. We found that Vine videos worked very well. To actually sit down and edit and produce a whole video was too long of a time, because you get in the next day and other things are already starting to happen. So we're just moving that much faster. So that's what we have for that.